We're going to be watching Flow Dragons versus Sun Eater, and I'm sure if you are Flow Dragons in this situation, you might be passively watching the tournament when you're not playing your sets, or maybe you have it on in the background, something like that. You might be looking at the bracket on the other side, the other group stage, and going, what is happening over there? How did this happen? They're probably in the same situation as you and I are, OBT, where they're looking at it and they're going, how? So honestly, if I'm the members of Flow Dragons, I'm doing my homework right now, I'm doing my research, and maybe I'm a little bit worried about what's to come.
Honestly, man, I feel like this is really Sun Eater saying we deserve to be here if they are able to beat Flow Dragons. Flow Dragons, you know, half JP, half EU team. I think members of Black Lotus joining them. Very, very strong performance. I feel like every time the camera was on them, we were watching them, they were just slapping up whatever team that was in front of them. So, but Sun Eater's saying, hey, man, we honestly only lost to the first seed. And now they're going up against seed number 3. So saying, I do think that they were able to at least put up a good fight there. Honestly, I don't know who's going to win this, and the only way we're going to find out is by hopping into there, y'all. But man, Sun Eater definitely feeling like they got something to prove the SendouQ finals.
Absolutely. Flow Dragons, look, they could still prove that they belong as that second seed going into this top cut. However, this is a absolute monolith that they're dealing with here. Sun Eater just completely unfound position that they've been in, and definitely, like, I'm not saying that in a way like they don't deserve it. They absolutely deserve to be where they are right now. And it was proved by that group stage. And what I think we'll find interesting is, like, maybe I'm getting a bit of ahead of myself here, but if Sun Eater is able to win this, they are going to play against PXG once again, which was one of the closest rounds for PXG during that group stage. And that could or could have not been a fluke for PXG. Maybe they weren't quite expecting to have 2 games taken off of them by quite literally the lowest seed of the tournament. So maybe they weren't, you know, maybe they were playing with their pinkies and not their whole hands, but we'll see. We'll see what goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because, like, for those of you who don't know, Sun Eater took 2 games and almost took the set over PXG on their first round. That was like literally round number 1 for them. And then I think their second round was them beating Blanks 3-0. So, I mean, they're playing really, really strong today. And again, if I'm Flow Dragons, I just got to say, look, man, we are the non-American team, man. We deserve to be here. And I think that, man, they're clean. So it's kind of like it's the unstoppable object versus the, immovable object versus the unstoppable force there in terms of both of these teams coming up there. But, man, I just cannot wait to get into this. And especially because I think this is like multiple continents and multiple countries facing off against each other. One of the really cool things about the SendouQ finals, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a very long-running thing, and you don't really see as much interaction in these tournaments between regions like we did back in the day. But when you have such a big event like this, people will make the time. We will schedule a tournament so that it works out perfectly for both regions. A lot of the weeklies and stuff that North America participates in nowadays happen at a time that isn't really feasible for most European teams, and the same applies to your paddling pools and other tournaments like that one, where you just can't really participate that if you have school or anything like during the day. So it's always good to see these weekend tournaments and these big events where a lot is on the line for these players, and more than just physical earnings or anything like that. It's honor, honestly. Like, winning the SendouQ finals is like top 10 flexes in Splatoon.
Yeah, and it's hard because, like, it is one of the more consistent events, but also, man, it is one of the harder ones. Like, it only happens at the very end of the season. Like, you got to qualify, and even if you qualify, then you got to be one of the top 2 teams in 2 pools, which is really, really hard. I mean, go ask, Blanks and the other top 4 seeds. Like, they didn't even qualify. Especially EasyMD, man. I mean, they were slated. Everyone thought it was going to be, PXG, EasyMD finals, but I mean, they're nowhere to be found in the semifinals right now. So very, very tough thing. It is, I mean, like you said, one of the highest level Splatoon things I think you can win, especially in terms of like just regular bragging rights, especially region to region, player to player, country to country. So yeah, man, just a really, really big event. That's why we're so excited that it happens every few months here, and we're just kind of getting everyone in the lobby ready to go here. So just give us a few more minutes, y'all, and we'll be right into it.
Absolutely. I don't know. Are we going for a little? We're not going for a break or anything like that, it seems, but yeah, we're still waiting on a few people to hop into this lobby. If you're watching this, stop slacking, hop in that room. I'm ready to see some Splatoon action.
You'd think by like this point in the bracket they would know how to join the room quickly, but I mean, hey, you know, they're up there and I'm over here, so they clearly know what they're doing. But plus it might be hard. I don't know if there's like a language barrier or anything between those two, but we are working to get them in there as fast as we possibly can. What were you saying? Sorry.
I mean, I was saying they were probably anticipating that last set to take a little bit longer than 3 knockouts for PXG.
That's probably pretty fair. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe they were playing open or just they had a scrim ready. I have no idea, man. But just trying to keep Warren there. But it might be one of those things of like, hold up, we're in the next game.
my teammate, he has parental controls.
Sorry, I feel like one of the things about this is you do have to qualify through SendouQ. Man, I don't know what happens when you join SendouQ, but some of the stuff that people say, they're like, actually, my grandma's house is on fire. I can't play the set. I just can't.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. It sounds like we're going to be starting the game soon enough, at least. We have all the players back into the lobby. Not much more I can say about both of these teams going into this one. But I guess we can go into quick theoreticals here. OBT, what would you do if you won the SendouQ finals?
I'm going to Disneyland. I'm just kidding. I won't do that. I would definitely flex that. Well, first of all, man, I feel like the best thing about winning a bracket is definitely putting the Twitter post down or whatever, the Blue Sky post. You got to be like, we won the SendouQ finals, bro. You know, we did it. And then everyone puts their like crazy names in there. So that's probably the first thing. But I don't know, man. I just want to flex. And also, it's like, what do you do from here? Like Gray's won pretty much every SendouQ finals they've been a part of. And I feel like it's at that point you're just trying to repeat stuff. But it's challenging because like, what do you do after winning? Like, what even event is there? Like the Smash World Tour, maybe the NA Champs or something. But there's not necessarily another really big hurdle outside of like some like international level, like they ever bring back Worlds for Splatoons. So I don't know, man. Very, very tough about if you won.
Yeah. All right, well, we're finally getting into the game. We'll see how either of these teams proceed if they do win this set, how they take that W. But looking at the loadout here, we have blasters again on both teams. Kind of shocking to see in the big 2-6, but I guess not that much after the buff. Actually, double blaster on the side of Flow Dragons, so they're going to have to make up with it with a lot of that turf coverage, which is going to be coming out from that pencil and that mini. So we'll see how that works out for them so far. However, very quick, explosive opening from both of these teams, and not quite a zone. Oh well, okay, never mind. OBT, you go.
Yeah, man, I feel like double blaster looks a little suspicious, but I feel like, man, it's really just the Splatoon 3 classic of double paint, double kill things. And double blasters, I mean, S Blast is still really disgustingly good. Regular blaster now also disgustingly good. So it does make sense there, although they seem to not be finding any success there as they are unsuccessful at trying to get the zone flip. Aces might go down here to the blaster. They're saying, I don't want to take that fight. They do get the zone flip, but I also still feel like Aces is alive. They're just kidding. They are now dead. As you're seeing the S Blast here kind of like spar each other here in their bottom freezer. Look at that big old fridge. Cyren, what's happening?
Well, what's happening is the members of Sun Eater getting back into that zone here. Keto doing a great job of moving back, getting that bubble deployed, and getting amazing picks onto the side of Flow Dragons here. That is going to be 3 down subsequently. I believe they were cooler in that fight because everybody has already respawned. But now we have to find out how we're going to respond to this because we need to get back into zone. And I mean, look, Ace is going to go down there, but that is just one little drop in the ocean. They still have to break through here. They're worried about Keto, who's still kind of floating around this zone here. We do have a splash out at the ready, but if this doesn't work out for them, I don't know how they're going to proceed with the last 30 ticks.
Now, luckily, they are going to go from the top ropes there. They did get the cap there. But, man, being held at 6-7 while the other team pushes to 32 does not feel good. It feels bad. Bubble coming out there, and I also feel like it's interesting running Bubble into this double blaster comp. Yes, they have splashdown, but it is going to be kind of challenging for them to shred the Bubble. I mean, granted, if they are alive to even do that, Kaito going to be trying to take out some people here on the right side. A crazy zone flip, including the sprinkler there, as Kaito tries to jump back to their teammate there. You're hearing, seeing a lot of this waves coming out. This is a bad spot to be in if you're Sun Eater. They do get the trade on the hammer, but man, look at the zone. And again, man, look at that. It's going to be 2 down. Boople's going to try to drop here and try to paint the zone.
Yeah, Boople's dropping in, getting that cooler deployed, is going to pop onto that zone there. Almost taken out by that S-Blast, but very abruptly did not get that second AoE shot towards their direction. Keto going down as well, but they do still have that zone capped. That is going to be a great position to be in here. Ace is sitting on that bottom left corner, is going to back up, is missing the support from their teammates right now. Does spot somebody lurking on these bottom right alleyways, but decides to reapproach this from a different angle entirely, which I think is a great idea. You have a very, very small penalty right now, so you don't really need to take any risky journeys. You know the position that you're in is going to be one that forces Flow Dragons to run back in the zone towards you. So take that area that is safe to you. You don't need to move up too far here. You can just kind of stay where you're feeling natural. And speaking of natural, Keto once again getting a great pick onto that stack. 3 seconds left to go, and Sun Eater just barely holding on, not quite able to cap with just an E-leader on the zone, and that's, I mean, expected behavior. But here we are. Flow Dragons is still in this game 1.
Yeah, unfortunate, man. There's so many worlds. I feel like this game is over. We're already talking about how Sun Eater took the first game, but right now we're seeing this wipeout come out from Flow Dragon saying, I'm mad, bro. I'm at 55. I want some blood on my hands. There's S-Blast player is going to get taken out, though, by the Charger, as you're seeing. Again, I believe that's Noctis on this lower left side, kind of holding on to that triple splashdown, saying that you got to respect this, even though it is triple splashdown. And I think they're going to use it right here. Cyren going to take out Booples and not going to take out Kaito, unfortunately, as Kaito's alive there, but they still need to get back to the zone. No penalty on the side of Flow Dragons right now.
Yeah, no penalty at all, so time is ticking for the members of Sun Eater. They're going to have to break back in here. All they really have to do that, though, is going to be that killer whale. Getting some people taken down with pure manpower alone is just going to be that pencil left alive on the members of Sun Eater. Flow Dragons. Assist getting a great pick on Ina Dragon into their spawn, and is going to back up a little bit here. They have been able to hold on to that very, very tight lead, but with just 1 point of a margin, it's going to be more of a game of the actual game timer here from now on out. Who can be holding the zone at least at a minimum neutral at the end of this 30 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, man, I was so clenched for that last. So I was like, I don't know if they were going to cap it, but luckily they were able to get the manpower lead. Flow Dragons looking like they're going to be able to hold the zone going into overtime. They do have a decently sized penalty, but they all are cooled up. They got specials on lock here. Blaster going to survive here. It is just 2 members alive for Sun Eater, with now going into overtime. 25 ticks left. I just hope they are able to mount something. You're seeing, man, look at that map, almost entirely yellow. Cyren, what can the members of Sun Eater do right now?
Well, it looks like Ace is taking the off angle on this, which is a risky play when you don't really have that much time to get back in towards the zone, and it looks like Flow Dragon just barely able to clench it out. You can see how much turf from the members of from Sun Eater was able to get back in there and cover that zone, but not enough to at least ply that neutral. First game going to Flow Dragons, but for sure, if I am them, I am going to be shaking in my boots.
Yeah, I mean, that was not close. That was not a definitive game by them. Like, it really was very, very close. I mean, multiple times you saw either the game end or the lead almost switch there. And so I feel like they are saying, look, you may be the higher seed, but we definitely deserve to be here, being Sun Eaters. But man, I just cannot believe how close that game was. And it's so close, like you said, the zone almost flipped there at the very end. It was just so much back and forth there. I don't know if this is going to go the same way as the last set, where it was kind of a close game 1, but then it was kind of a wash after that. Granted, Flow Dragons is pretty good, and I feel like Double Blaster is a strong comp, but I just don't think it's going to be a 3-0 and a handshake again like that. Hopefully, I mean, commentators curse. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because I want, more game 5s, as commentator, spectator.
Okay, well, we just got word that the counter pick for game 2 is going to be Wahoo World. Is this the secret sauce for the members of Sun Eater? I'm not so sure. However, they're surely cooking something that I don't know what it tastes like quite yet. Maybe I'll be the devil's advocate here and not even a meme. I actually do like Wahoo Zones a decent bit. It is like a flat thing that's kind of weird, and I don't know. I feel like it fell out of favor for a lot of players when it didn't really need to.
I also agree. I don't really mind. I always call it Wahoo World, but I don't mind Wahoo World zones. Honestly, like I actually think it's a decent map. I think it fell out of favor when they started adding more maps, and people were kind of like, oh, you know, we really don't need this map. I kind of went the same way of like Rainmaker, Mahi Mahi. I know that was kind of a popular pick at the beginning of the game, but like I feel like there were just better maps. But honestly, Wahoo World definitely not as bad as Scorched Gorge for the last set. So I will take that one. Also, shout outs to this beautiful background for the counter pick one. Normally it's like a big question mark, but we are no question about it getting into Wahoo World for game 2, Cyren.
Wahoo World it is. Those coasters pass by, and both of these teams opting to switch into the Splatana, not Splatana Wiper, but the, oh my gosh, my brain is having the biggest fart. The one with the booyah. The Stamper, yes, thank you. Stamper with a booyah, Stamper, stickers. It has stickers. Yes.
I think you mean stickers with a Z, and that is exactly what they're going to try to do. Kaido going to take this cooler, going to be trying to pop up on the right side. Man, a lot of booyah bomb, as you said, Siren. I feel like I'm watching early Splatoon 3, man. Dragon gonna get the pick on there, gonna throw the hammer down and find 2. It is just gonna be Ace on this left side. Momo Dragon does not see them. Dragon gonna be able to take them out there. Sorry, Noctis, and then Booples and Kaido gonna be popping Booyah Bomb, and kind of overkill. They're gonna throw it at the plat, try to get something cheeky there. Not gonna find it, unfortunately. But man, I feel like it's so hard. Either one of these teams in both of the sets we just watched, Siren, have had a chance to really try to get like a really dominant first push. I feel like it's like someone caps a zone, and because everyone's so dang good, just like Ace is hitting the shot, man, they are able to come back into the zone very quickly there. And now look at this, Sun Eater's taking the lead in game number 2.
The funniest thing about that was just Ace just looking at that vac and then just turning away and sniping somebody else. Like, all right, I can't shoot there, better go over here. Keto here now moving up on that top right. Everybody's got that cooler applied to them now. That hammer is going to be coming in from the members of Flow Dragons, but we had a lot of time to prepare for it and get away from it. Every single special from the members of Flow Dragons is getting applied to that zone here. It's going to force Sun Eaters away at the very minimum, but they do get away from that with a couple specials in hand. So coming back into this should be pretty simple for them. That whale is going to be coming out first, spotting out where the members of Flow Dragons are sitting right now. Booyah Bomb's going to be coming out to follow out as well. However, going down in this entry is not going to be ideal for them here. A couple people collapsing on one person on that bottom side here, but now they've successfully diverted attention away from the zone, and that has allowed Flow Dragons to sit on top of the zone and reclaim that lead for themselves.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be trouble with the one member of Flow Dragons on the bottom right there, but they were able to collapse on them successfully. And even though they did that, they still aren't going to be able to touch the zone. I unfortunately think because of the size of the map, they're not going to be able to get there. The really smart vac coming out, and that's going to be, again, another Game 2 W for the opposing team on their team's counter pick. I feel like that always kind of feels kind of bad when you're picking the map and you lose on your own counter pick. But man, showing the danger of trying to counter pick a map with a really long distance from spawn there. Once they kind of got taken out in mid, especially on their retake like you were talking about, they just did not physically have enough time to respawn and get back in there, especially not when there's a vac coming at your spawn.
Yeah, it feels like Sun Eater has been playing around games where they force their opponents to run into them, and when they do, it's very explosive, and they basically play like a trap style where it's just like, all right, we're gonna make all this space for ourselves, and if you run into it whatsoever, you are probably going to explode. And I think they kind of made the error in this game where they weren't really able to set up a strong enough base for themselves to do that. And that may have worked against like a lot of their earlier opponents, but Flow Dragons has done a very good job at dispersing the members of Sun Eater around the stage. They got a couple people to move away from the zone. They were able to recoup enough time to build specials once again, which basically got them the checkmate position that we saw there at the end with the vac pointing towards the base of Sun Eater. So our last ditch effort to stay in this bracket is going to be Museum d'Alfonsino zones, which is a toughie. It's definitely, in my opinion, it's more of a risky stage. And I've said this every time I've seen this one. It's like, all right, you have a huge base for yourself. And the moment that you drop out of it to play in the faces of your opponents who might be on the zone, you are now in a position where you cannot safely back up without moving a little bit more forward first or just hard jumping out. So it's risky, but momentum is easily swayed on this stage, I find, and not in a good way.
Yeah, honestly, you pretty much summed up exactly how I saw. I went like, ooh, when I saw Museum, just because like I feel like for me personally, when you're trying to come back into a map, and maybe they feel like super comfortable on this, I have no idea. But when you're trying to come back in a set where you need to literally 3-0 now, man, I feel like you're putting yourself in a mentally precarious spot. Like, let's say like the match starts going bad. Like you said, you have to commit to dropping. And that leads to sometimes people dropping early by themselves, getting picked off, making the stagger worse. So again, if it was me, I would not pick it, but they clearly know more than I do, and we are going to hop right into it. This is going to be game number 3. This is the last-ditch effort for the Cinderella story that pretty much has been Sun Eater's Cyren.
Yeah, absolutely. I think perhaps part of the decision was fueled by the fact that they have a great E-Leader player in Essus on the members of Sun Eater. So I think they're relying on the idea of setting up that E-Leader on top mid. And once that E-Leader is positioned there, it's going to be really, really difficult for the members of Flow Dragons to move them. You could see a couple players going for the flank on the side of Sun Eater, but Flow Dragons opting to have 2 people drop on that bottom left ledge, and that did put them in a position where they had to reevaluate and come in from a different angle here. Both teams finally approaching the zone, and with Sun Eater having 1 extra man on the field, that is going to give them that very early cap.
And luckily, like you said, it's all about trying to get set up there. And even though they have been able to win some of these fights, they've not really been able to get the zone flip for them. As you're seeing again, people just kind of hanging on to Momo Dragon, jumping into them when they are down. Again, they are going to go down there. One of the members of Sun Eater in the corner there, as I feel like, man, this is almost exactly what you don't want to see when you are down, man. You aren't able to get control there, and you're having to now to defend your spawn from the other team on your counter pick, Cyren.
Yeah, this is probably not the position that Sun Eater was looking at when they picked this particular stage. Flow Dragons is in a spot where they don't even really need to run into the spawn of Sun Eater right now. They can play the intimidation game, sit on the ground here, take out a couple, and as long as they keep just 1 extra man on the field, they are likely to keep this zone capped, because we're not really looking at the heaviest paint comp from the members of Sun Eater. They are relying on winning these fights, and the moment that they lose man advantage, it's probably going to crumble a little bit for them. So if they're able to get something out of this hammer, they might be able to cap, but unfortunately, maybe Commentators curse, maybe something else. That is going to be the quickest win for Flow Dragons so far in the set, and that is going to close it out for them 3-0.
Maybe that was my fault, but I'm telling you, I just have seen this happen so much with myself and also just commentating, that you really just it's hard to ignore the mental effect of you are down 3-0 or 2-0, gonna lose your potentially finals opportunity in the SendouQ season finale. Like, I feel like that does weigh on you a little bit, honestly, and I feel like they just weren't able to string it together. You kind of saw Kaito on the hammer. They started to almost go to that team fight, realize they needed to go to the zone, and then kind of just split off on their own and get taken out, and that was kind of curtains after that. But yeah, unfortunate they were not able to get set up. And honestly, just in broad general esports terms, it's really challenging when you are down to have to rely on a strategy where you have to get set up to win. And you're right, I feel like they were able to get their leader on there. It would have been so different of a match, but that requires them to actually win the fight. And pretty much, honestly, that was like almost a 1-push KO. I think they were able to flip it 1 time, but they just were not able to at all get any kind of mid control looking onto their plat. So very, very unfortunate. Honestly, really sad stuff for Sun Eater. They just worked their butts off there. But still, man, like you said, 3rd is absolutely nothing to shake at here in the SendouQ season finale, especially coming from literally the bottom seed. All right. I feel like I didn't expect that on the pre-show yesterday. I don't think anyone did.
No, none of us did. I believe Saf wrote down all of our predictions, and I just don't even think they were on the radar for any of us. So I'm looking at all of you now. I don't know if they're going to keep playing together as a team after this, or if they are just like, if this was just like a stint for SendouQ. But I think everyone has the same idea in their brain right now, which is, oh my gosh, if they are not continuing to play together, they really, really should consider it. But I think they are. I saw the team tags. I will be looking at you, Sun Eaters, from now on, and I'm a little afraid because I think these are all players that could be pulling up to lands in the next year or so. They have been up and rising players for quite some time, and I think a lot of them haven't been able to break that quote-unquote mid-level curse until now, and I think they just found that secret sauce together. So really happy for them, happy that they made it this far, and can't wait to see what's next from them.
Yeah, I do believe that they are. I think I remember hearing Saf say yesterday they're playing Ludi together, because I think like that's like a legit team. Also, I don't know, they got some branding. They at least had a logo. I don't know what the logo was, but they had one. I was like covering my camera. I was like, what is the logo? Like, I don't even know what it is. But anyway, good stuff, Sun Eaters. I'm sure not where they wanted to finish, especially with how close that game one was. But man, it's crazy that both sides of the semifinals matches went out the exact same way. Close game one, and then just progressively just a wash into game three. So honestly, I think that speaks to the talent of both of our teams in the finals, which is pretty cool. But man, there's going to be two absolute titans in terms of each other's teams. PXG, again, the favorite to win this match, the favorite to win the event, the seed number one, versus, I'm going to say, the other strongest team, clearly in the bracket, which is Flow Dragons. So again, should be an absolute just brawl, man. I just cannot wait for it, Cyren.